everyone, it's Shiloh here with a video for Pajama Crafter Stamps. It is beach week over at Pajama Crafter Stamps, so we are doing beach themed projects this week. I chose to go with beachy colors with my card today. This is the finished card here in real time, just showing you the textures and layers and the products that we use today from Pajama Crafter Stamps. So that's the Together stamp set, and now we are doing the Mix and Match Celebration Sentiments along with the Savannah Neutrals paper pack, our Fancy Corners, and the Pebble Beach cardstock, appropriately named. So we're featuring some Copic coloring on craft, which isn't something that you see it too often. So I'll just go through the coloring here and just talk a little bit about that. So one of the things that I found helpful is to swatch your colors and let them dry, because once they dry, they look very different than when they're wet on craft. So that would be my tip for you, is that you can go ahead and color very similarly to using white background. I've used my Memento ink just the same as I would any other time with my Copics, but and the shading is the same. So the coloring technique is the same. It's just that the shading or the shades of colors will look very different on craft as opposed to on white. Some of them show up really well. Some of them don't show up nearly the same. And then sometimes it changes the tone a bit, of course. When you've got that color behind, it would make sense that it does that. So just keep that in mind, but don't let that scare you. It's definitely a nice result, and sometimes we want that craft look. So definitely worth giving it a try. So I went with blue greens, even though that's not a color of a peony. So we are going a little non-traditional here today. But like I said earlier, it is beach week, and I chose to go with beachy colors. So the craft color, Pebble Beach, being one of the beach colors. And then, of course, going with blue greens to reiterate that pretty sea color. Yeah, so that's how I chose to go with the beachy theme today. Just wanted to use some of the newer stamp products, and so since they weren't actually officially beach themed, I figured beach colors would work well. And if you're wondering about which colors I'm using, I did try to put my lids upright so you can see, but I will also do a list of those down below. So just be sure to look for those if you are interested. Also, I will put chapters in so that if you want to skip the coloring, you can just click on to the next chapter and get past this if it's not something that's interesting to you and you just want to see how I put the rest of the card together. And while we're watching me color here, I just want to remind you all to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure that you are following so that you don't miss out on any future videos. We love having you here. We love your support. So thank you so much for that. And yeah. So I did skip the second large peony because I colored it exactly the same. So it just felt redundant to leave all that in the video. And I did show the little bud here because it was a little bit different, but I mean, the same concept. I went in with 3 shades, darkest to lightest, and yeah, like I say, very, very basic. Very much the same as any time I would color on white. I just had to adapt my colors a little bit here. So, and I wanted kind of a soft look overall, so I did go a bit lighter on this, so that So you can see, this is a good comparison here. You can see how dark that bud is in comparison to the two big flowers. And that's just showing that it hasn't actually dried that ink yet. So it looks so much darker. And that's where you can get thrown off a little bit with the craft. But once it dries, it'll dry back lighter, of course. So, and then we're just doing our centers and some yellows, which is a more traditional for the peonies. So realistic, but not. So yeah, just did the centers, and then we will go in and color all the leaves as well. So I did the leaves in 3 shades also, and I did a lot of flicking motion, and I also turned my paper a lot during this for the flowers and for the leaves, just to make it easier, I guess, for me to get in and put that color where I wanted it without it being awkward. So don't be afraid to do that. If you're new to coloring, you know, you can certainly move your page around and do what makes sense and is easiest for you. There's no right or wrong way in my opinion. And I did just sections at a time as well, because I didn't want this to all be dry before I had a chance to do any blending. So this being the cardstock from Pajama Crafters, this is their pebbled cardstock, which is a perfect craft color in my opinion. It's quite nice, but I'm not sure if it's ideal for coloring with Copics, but it did work for Copics. So it, you know, I was still able to blend. I was still able to lay down my color. I did feel like it soaked up the ink a little bit more than what I typically use for Copic coloring, but it still worked well. So yeah, don't be afraid to try different colors that way. You could do this on multiple colors, really. I mean, it doesn't have to be just craft, right? So you could certainly branch out and get creative with what you color on. I personally haven't tried any other colors to color with Copics on. Have you guys? Leave a comment below if you have. I'd be interested to see and to hear about how that turned out, because I've never tried it other than on craft or white. So yeah, and there's our finished coloring. And then we are going to fussy cut this guy out as well. But great news, Pajama Crafter Stamps has a coordinating die for this stamp set now. So you can get it as a bundle or separate. So this is the Together stamp set, and it does come with that stencil. So I never got the stencil. I guess they released a little bit after the stamp set did. So I will be fussy cutting out my guy today. But if you have the stencil, you get to do this nice and easily. I actually don't mind fussy cutting, but I know a lot of people don't love it. So that means they can use that stencil and be happy as a clam in the sand. Okay, so we're going to do some splattering. I use a little small fan brush for this and watered down acrylic white paint. And I did quite a bit of splattering with that one. Now we are moving on to some card parts while that is drying. So I wanted a base of craft as well on my card. So I cut 4 by 5 1/4 inch of a piece of that pebbled sandpaper. And I did, so that leaves that little white border, which I did want. And I'm just going to emboss that piece. And I just kind of kept the embossing simple, but... And now we're going to pick out our paper here from the Savannah Neutrals. And I am just awkwardly here trying to show you all the colors and patterns, because I do love this paper pad. It's wonderful. It goes with so many things, and it can be elegant. It can be cute. It can be masculine. So it's a very versatile paper pad if you are looking for something like that. It's definitely a good add to the collection. And I just die cut out a little square with that. This is kind of the tealy blue-green, I guess, color. And then I used both sides of it on my card. So I cut out a square with my die, and then I just had a little strip there, flipped it over so you can see both sides, not colors, the same color, both sides. And I did some stitching around a couple of those edges, and then I realized, oh yeah, I wanted to also add splatter to this background, so we are doing that now. Ideally, we would do all of the splattering together, but I realized after the fact, so here we are, splattering again. And this one, I was very generous with the splatter. I wanted to get some contrast in there. And I find with the splatter, I don't know, it just somehow, I mean, splatter can do lots of things for you. It can look like stars. It can, I don't know, just adds interest. It can tone down colors. I don't know. Something about that splatter, though, does remind me of the beach somehow. I'm not sure why, if it's because there's, you get the white caps of the waves, or the pebbles and all the sand colors are different. I'm not really sure, but it just somehow reminded me of beach. So I wanted to make sure that I added a little bit of that in there for that vibe as well. And I just hot glued down a strip of lace, and now we're going to do our little nest. So this is a button thread, so it's a bit thicker, so it stands out a bit more than your typical thread. I love it for doing this look when you want just those little bit of strands kind of showing. This one shows up quite well compared to regular thread. Regular thread I do use still quite a bit, but it is definitely thinner and it doesn't stand out as much. So if you want something that's going to stand out a little bit more, the button thread helps a lot. And I do use my hot glue with the thread. I find it's just sticks that down beautifully, and then once it's cool, you can just peel that whole thing off as a unit. So you'll see me do that in a bit. While that is cooling, we are going to work on our sentiment. So I mixed and matched a couple from this sentiment kit, and you'll see up top there I messed up my first go, so we are doing a second round here now. Yes, I could have left that in, I guess, as part of the bloopers, but yeah, I don't always get it right either, and it's just paper, so we can always just do it again. So I'm stamping the little words in black, and it says on your wedding day. Wedding season is coming up, so makes sense to make some wedding cards while we're at it. And then I used a color ink for my congratulations. Obviously, you can see that. So this is actually pine needles from just the distress ink. There you go. And it was the perfect color to go with that paper and my coloring. So that worked out well. And we got a little dance break from my Froggie press. That is from Pajama Crafter Stamps as well. They have a bunch of animal presses and they are so cute. I love them. And cleaning and putting away my stamps like a good girl. And then I am fussy cutting out this sentiment as well. We want to put that over top of the floral, which you will see me do. And I didn't want to cover up too much. So I usually either fussy cut out my sentiment or die cut them. Obviously, when you fussy cut, you have less space around it. So that's what I wanted to go for today. And you saw how easily that flower peeled off and the thread is still in place, which is wonderful. And I didn't quite get that lace trimmed off evenly here, so I'm just working on that a bit. Okay, now we are ready to start assembling, and I put a bunch of adhesive on. I'm going to be full disclosure here. I put a bunch of it, excuse me, put a bunch of my adhesive down and then I glued it. So I don't know what was going on other than to say I had a migraine that morning, and I did take I had to take quite a bit of my migraine medication for it to go away. So I don't know that my brain was working quite quite the way it normally does. So I did things in a different order than I normally did. And you'll see here, see, I stuck down all my foam adhesive here, but I didn't actually stick anything, like attach anything, right? So normally when I'm doing a video, I will do it layer by layer for you and put it together as I go, but I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, I've got my foam tape on the back of those two pieces. We've set them aside. And now we're going to take this craft piece. We're going to attach it to our A2 card base using one of the fancy corners. You guys know, if you watch any of my videos or see my cards, I use these pretty much on every single card. I just like the way that it looks. So, okay, and now we are going to attach these foam or dimensional pieces, however you want to say that. So the stripes go down first. And then we're going to add our flower. Yeah, I just kind of fit it in that square, but did a little bit off kilter. And more foam tape. Again, if you follow me, you will see that I use a lot of foam tape. I like dimension. I probably should have bought some shares in foam tape back in the day because I'd probably be doing well by now if that was the case. Supporting myself. Okay, and then, yeah, we're going to put that as sentiment on. And you can see how I'm kind of going over top of the flower. So if I had done a square, it would have covered up even more of the flower. So that's why I chose to fussy cut it. I wanted to be able to see as much of that floral as possible. And now for our finishing touch, we are going to just use some little pearls, flat back pearls, and glue those on around the floral. I spilled here. Here's my little cleanup. And I found a random heart left in my container from last time. So that's what that little pink guy is. Okay, and we're just going to put those around. This is one of the things that I struggle the most with, is trying to make these little pearls, or sometimes they're gems or sequins or whatever, trying to make them look random. I'm not great at that. I can play around with these quite a bit. This goes fairly smoothly in the video because I already had a completed card, so I already struggled with that once. So I was able to just copy what I had done before. But yeah, I don't know why, but I want them to look beautiful, but I also want them to look random. So I don't know, I play around with those a lot. Anyway, there's our finished card, and you'll see a photo here of the end result. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time.